أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة عدت للكافرين صدق الله المولى العظيم. Mr. Chairman and my dear brothers and sisters, it gives me great pleasure to share with you my thoughts on the subject announced, the last challenge and the best call. The last challenge happens to be in the last book of God. We have two leading books competing for the hearts and minds of mankind: the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran. For the benefit of my Muslim brethren who might not know what the Bible is, I give them a brief introduction. This book, which is called the Holy Bible, is divided into two sections. There is, in this book, the major part of it is called by the Christians the Old Testament, and the smaller part at the end is called the New Testament. Now, what is the Old Testament? Everything that came before Jesus to the prophets and the sages is contained in the book of the Jews, the Bible of the Jews, which the Christians call it Old. Everything that came after Jesus, they call it New. The Old and the New put together, they call it the Holy Bible. So this book, the Holy Bible, is divided into Old Testament and New Testament. So I, as a Muslim, I say that if you have the Old Testament and if you have the New Testament, we have the last testament, the final message of God to mankind. And this is not entirely something new. This is a continuation of the teachings of Moses and Jesus. It's a continuation. It is the same religion on a different level, which we believe a higher level. Now, in this book, in the verses that I read to you, two verses from Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah. And if you have a Quran like this, a translation, this is a translation, with 114 chapters, 2,000 pages, where will you find Baqarah? I'm speaking now more directly to the non-Muslim who might not have access to this book, and even to the Muslim who is not used to this book. 2,000 pages and you're looking for Baqarah. Where do you find Baqarah? But if you have this particular one, it is available outside. They're selling it, I noticed that they're selling it outside for 45 riyals, this 2,000 pages encyclopedia. There, in this book, at the end of it, there is an index, a very comprehensive index. Whatever you want to know, it's made easy for you. Open the index, looking for Baqarah. Under B, just like in a dictionary, look for Baqarah. It'll tell you chapter 2. And 2 is easy to find because every page is numbered. Once you have found chapter 2, as I'm telling you now, it's ayah number, verse number 23 and 24. Very easy to find. Anything you want to know. You want about marriage in the house of Islam, forbidden marriages, with whom you can, with whom you can't. Open M, marriages. You want to know about divorce, under D, you find divorce. Everything about divorce in Islam. You want to know about heaven. You want to know about hell, under H. You want to know about man, under M, the purpose of the creation of man and all that creation, under C. What you want to know, everything on your fingertips. The non-Muslim, more especially the Christian who lives in our midst, he might want to know about his Jesus. What does this book say about my Jesus? He's asking. So I said, open J, and it'll tell you everything about Jesus, everything on your fingertips. When we remind our Christian fellow countrymen who live with us that Jesus Christ is mentioned in this book no less than 25 times by name, We call him Isa, Jesus. Masihu Isa ibn Maryama, Christ Jesus, the son of Mary. As Jesus, the son of Mary, he is named 25 times in the book. And the strange thing about this book is this, that the name Muhammad occurs only 5 times. Can you imagine a man who's supposed to have brought this book? He's supposed to have written this book. He mentions his own name 4 times as Muhammad and 1 time as Ahmad, which is a synonym for the same name. Altogether 5 times, named Jesus 25 times. Strange. The birth of Jesus, his annunciation, how God created him by a miracle, is all recorded. Then there is a chapter in the Holy Quran entitled Surah Maryam, meaning chapter Mary, in honor of the name of the mother of Jesus Christ. There is no such chapter, if you know, in the Christian Bible. It has 66 books, and there's not a single book called Mary, Maryam. In the Quran, there is a whole chapter dedicated to her, Surah Maryam, chapter Mary. What do people say about this book? The Westerner. Naturally, we as Muslims, we will look up to it, respect it, and praise it to the highest. It's understood. But what does the unbeliever say? Reverend Bosworth Smith, in his book, Muhammad and Mohammedanism. I think you people here in this country, you all know, I hope you know by now, that there is no such creature as a Mohammedan, and there is no such religion as Mohammedanism. But this man, writing this book more than 50 years ago, the whole world was calling us Mohammedans, and our religion was Mohammedanism. Now you know better that the name of our religion is Islam, a religion of total submission to God's will, and we, the followers, are called Muslims, meaning people who have submitted their wills to the will of God. But in his book, Muhammad and Mohammedanism, Reverend Bosworth Smith says, referring to the Quran and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, he says, illiterate himself, who Muhammad, an unlearned person, illiterate himself, scarcely able to read or write, he was yet the author of a book. Of course, we take exception that Muhammad was not the author of a book, but this is his belief. This is what his opinion is. He says, he was yet the author of a book, which is a poem, a code of laws, a book of common prayers, and a Bible all in one. And is reverenced to this day by a sixth of the whole human race as a miracle of purity of style, of wisdom, and of truth. It is the one miracle claimed by Muhammad, his standing miracle, he called it, and a miracle indeed it is. This is coming from a Christian missionary. He says, this is a miraculous book. One man, 1400 years ago, in the desert, a man who couldn't sign his own name, he goes and formulates a book of this magnitude. How do you account for it? The most voracious writer in the Christian Bible is St. Paul. In the New Testament, he has authored 14 books. Corinthians, Philippians, Galatians, Thessalonians, Hebrews, Book of Romans, and on. 14 books he has authored. More than half the New Testament is authored by one man. And if I just get those 14 books together, 14 books, there won't be more than this. All the 14 put together. The biggest writer, 14